Hello everyone! We are glad to welcome you to the channel The Age of Dinosaurs and continue the story about the largest, most dangerous, and most unusual animals of all continents. Today it is the turn of distant, amazing, and unlike anything else evergreen Australia. It is unique not only because it is the only continent state on the planet, but also because of the huge number of endemic plants and animals. This is the name given to representatives of flora and fauna that live only in one territory and nowhere else in the world. Moreover, only here, on the territory of Australia, there are living organisms that seem to have frozen in time. That is, today we see them almost the same as they were tens of millions of years ago. Their evolution is over, but life goes on. But do not think that you will find a story about cute kangaroos, funny platypuses, hilarious koalas, and other animals well known to every schoolchild. Believe me, there are much more interesting and many times more dangerous inhabitants in Australia and its coastal waters than the eternally sleepy bears. However, you will not find a great white shark, or killer shark, which became the prototype for the legendary film Jaws, here either. The reason is simple: it lives in the entire world ocean, so it would be unfair to call it an Australian animal. But you can be sure of one thing: it will be interesting. By the way, if you have not yet subscribed to our channel, be sure to do so to stay up to date with new exciting excursions into the past and present of planet Earth. And do not forget to like to help our project develop further. So, forward to the amazing animal world of Australia. The list of the largest and most dangerous animals in this part of the world is opened by the sea wasp. This huge jellyfish has only one thing in common with the wasp we are used to: the ability to sting. But an ordinary wasp sting is not fatal for a person. And it rarely even makes a person seek help from a doctor. But after a kiss from the Australian sea wasp, you may not need a doctor. It carries so much poison that it is enough to kill 60 people in just a few minutes. The stinging cells on the tentacles of the sea wasp accumulate one of the most powerful poisons that exist on Earth. That is why many scientists are inclined to call the Cubomedusa chironix flakeri not only the most dangerous of jellyfish, but also the most dangerous animal in the world in general. The most ancient ancestors of the sea wasp were some of the oldest inhabitants of the planet, Cnidarians. It is reliably known that they existed already at the end of the Proterozoic. The oldest fossils of jellyfish found in modern times date back almost 600 million years. For comparison, such ancient forms of life as corals are younger than ancient jellyfish by as much as 100 million years. And before the emergence of dinosaurs, which evolution did not even plan to create at that time, we will have to wait another 300 to 400 million years. The modern sea wasp is a huge clot of connective tissue mesoglea, with a dome up to 30 centimeters in diameter. And the tentacles of this slippery, watery killer can stretch up to 3 meters in length during hunting. The main food for the jellyfish is shrimp and small sea fish. But, unfortunately, there are also many recorded cases of people dying from poisonous stings of the sea wasp. Over the past century, about 100 people have fallen victim to this invertebrate creature in the waters of the northern coast of Australia. And modern science has still not invented an antidote for this deadly poison. Therefore, the danger of being bitten remains for everyone who wants to swim in the waters of northern Australia during the summer season, which lasts here from November to April. It is at this time that box jellyfish live here in great abundance, sometimes even penetrating through protective nets. So, swimming at this time and in this place is a deadly dangerous pastime. Another interesting fact about the sea wasp. Despite its terrifying combat arsenal, it is not only a hunter, but also an object of hunting. It is hard to believe, but there is an animal on Earth that does not care at all about the strongest poison of a giant jellyfish. And this animal is a sea turtle. It eats any poisonous box jellyfish with great appetite without the slightest risk to its life and health. Now let's move from the coastal ocean to the very center of hot Australia. Here lives a deadly snake called the McCoy's taipan. It is its habitat, the uninhabited Australian deserts, together with its secretive lifestyle that allow people not to die from the bite of the most poisonous reptile on our planet. If this 2-meter snake preferred to live closer to humans, for example, like many poisonous spiders in Australia, the statistics would be much sadder. After all, the poison in this snake is enough to kill 100 people or 250,000 mice at once. Just think and imagine, the potency of the McCoy's taipan poison is 180 times greater than that of a cobra. By the way, during the study of the evolution of snakes, it was reliably proven that Australia is the ancestor of the entire snake family, which now live in all parts of the world except Europe. Our next hero scared the first European colonizers of Australia so much that from then until now he has been called nothing other than the Tasmanian devil. Tasmanian, because by the time Europeans appeared in Australia, this marsupial predator lived only on the island of Tasmania, which is located next to the continent. And he was nicknamed Devil because of his devilishly ferocious disposition, huge sharp-toothed mouth, black color, and inhuman screams that this beast makes at night. And the classic name of the genus of this animal, Sarcophilus, sounds no less frightening. Translated from ancient Greek, Sarcophilus means a lover of flesh. Modern methods of phylogenetic analysis show a close relationship between Tasmanian devils and the spotted marsupial quoll, which is called the quoll. These predators are also related, but more distantly, to the Australian marsupial wolf thylacine, which was completely destroyed by man. The Tasmanian devil itself almost became a victim of human civilization, and about 3,000 years ago. Active hunting by the Aborigines led to the destruction of the primitive megafauna in Australia. As a result, the devils simply had nothing to eat. Today they live only in Tasmania and also on a very limited area of land in Australia itself, where they were reintroduced from the island for reproduction and the creation of a stable population. Thanks to the efforts of scientists, environmentalists, and enthusiasts, there is a chance that the animal will be able to re-establish itself in its original native places. Tasmanian devils are descended from prehistoric thylacines that lived in Australia about 40 million years ago. Thylacines were large predators that hunted other animals. They were very successful top-level hunters and spread throughout Australia. But about 10 million years ago, Australia's climate became even drier and hotter. This led to the fact that many species of animals, including thylacines, began to die out. However, some of them were able to adapt to the new conditions and continued to live. Tasmanian devils are the descendants of these wolves that survived and adapted to the new climate. They became smaller in size and changed their lifestyle. Instead of hunting large animals, the Tasmanian devil began to feed on small animals and stopped disdaining carrion. Despite its relatively small size, the Tasmanian devil is the largest marsupial predator alive today. An adult male weighs about 12 kilograms, has a clumsy body up to 40 centimeters at the withers, and looks somewhat like a miniature bear. Evolution has given it longer legs than other marsupials and has endowed them with greater strength. In order to survive hunger or illness, when the animal cannot hunt, the Tasmanian devil's tail accumulates a significant amount of fat. When necessary, it is used to provide the animal with nutrition. At the same time, the tail becomes much thinner. The jaws of the Tasmanian devil fully correspond to its name. They have incredible power. In terms of bite force to body weight ratio, this animal is the strongest among all mammals, leaving hyenas and bull terriers far behind. During the hunt, the devil easily bites off not only the spine, but also the skull of its victim with one movement. For this purpose, its powerful mouth has very sharp and massive teeth. Another interesting, unique, and youngest predator on the continent of Australia is the dingo, half dog, half wolf. Although it is not dangerous to humans, it deserves our attention. Its uniqueness lies in the fact that the scientific community has recognized this animal not as wild, but as having gone wild again. That is, these dogs, originally domestic, due to various circumstances, began to live in the wild again. It is known that at first it was a fairly small group that found for itself almost ideal living conditions. In Australia, not one animal hunts dingoes, which means that they are not threatened by extermination by other representatives of the fauna. And the dogs themselves have more than enough food in the form of small animals. Their ability to hunt together, in packs, especially helps them. This allows them to defeat even larger marsupial representatives of the Australian fauna. But how did this domestic dog get to the distant continent? Brought by European colonizers, you say? For some time, this assumption was considered the most likely. But no. The oldest remains of a dingo dog found in Australia are about 3,500 years old. And the first European settlement on the continent, Port Jackson, was founded only at the end of the 18th century. By combining all the currently available methods of genetic and archaeological research, it was possible to assume that the first dingo dogs could have appeared in Australia about 10,000 years ago. And they were brought to the evergreen continent by representatives of the ancient Asian Toala culture. This ancient civilization lived by hunting and gathering on the large island of Sulawesi. Today it is part of Indonesia. Having traveled more than 1,000 kilometers with their owners across the ocean to the shores of Australia, the Toali dingoes were either abandoned to their fate by the Toali or chose to go free. And they not only survived, but also took root well, outliving almost all of their Asian ancestors. Today, the dingo lives almost exclusively on the territory of the Australian continent. If we look at the course of evolution over a longer period of time, then the dingo, like all dogs, originates from wolves, forming with them one genus in the family of canine predators. And the first predators began to divide into canine and feline about 50 million years ago. Another 10 million years later, a common ancestor of all wolves, foxes, dogs, and other representatives of canines already existed on Earth. It is called prohesperation. And after several million years, evolution created the most ancient wolves, which changed but survived to this day. Unlike the extinct canines, hesperotians, and borophags, which have been gone for a very long time. And finally, the head of our Big Five is the largest reptile on our planet, the saltwater crocodile. It is so terrible and dangerous that the whole world calls it nothing less than a man-eating crocodile. This huge, terrible, and ruthless reptile grows up to 7 meters in length and can weigh more than 2 tons. It is not only the largest crocodile, but also the largest land and coastal predator of all currently existing. The habitat of these monsters extends beyond Australia. It runs over vast territories from the northern Australian coast through the island countries of Southeast Asia and all the way to the east coast of India. The saltwater crocodile is an apex predator and has no natural enemies in its habitat. Moreover, science knows of cases of attacks by these crocodiles on other large animals, big cats, and even sharks. But attacks on crocodiles by other predators have never been observed. Of course, if we do not take people into account. Phylogenetics traces the evolution of the saltwater crocodile back to the Cretaceous period. The direct ancestor of all modern and many extinct crocodiles are the Eusuchians, who lived about 100 million years ago. They, in turn, descended from an even more ancient and primitive species of animals, crocodilomorphs, which inhabited the Earth in large numbers more than 200 million years ago, in the Jurassic period. Compared to their ancestors, the descendant is a youngster. The saltwater crocodile is only 3.5 million years old. And in conclusion, a few more interesting facts about the animal world of Australia. Although there are actually a huge number of dangerous predators, deadly reptiles, and poisonous spiders here, they are by no means the main causes of human deaths. Australian scientists analyzed huge amounts of statistics for 10 years and came to the conclusion the most dangerous animal in Australia is a horse. It is with its participation that the greatest number of fatalities occur. Of course, the horse itself does not hunt people and does not destroy them. People crash, falling from galloping animals, falling under their hooves, colliding with horses and all types of transport. During the studied period, 74 people died in Australia due to horses. Which is not very surprising, considering that for 25 million people here there are at least 1 million horses. But in second place and with a huge gap, 26 cases, is the shark. But it is not an Australian endemic. And only Australian crocodiles, which have claimed the lives of 19 people over 10 years, close the top 3 of this sad list. So in fact, Australia is not as unfriendly as it may seem. If you liked our issue, do not forget to like and leave comments. Each of your actions helps us develop and attract a new audience. Until next time and new stories on the channel Age of Dinosaurs.